That's where the mushrooms go.
I like to see my friends.
It's pizza night.
I'm actually Italian, so I know the basics.
Can I have some cheese over here? Yes.
And their kitchen rules.
We come here to socialise, learn skills we'll need in life. And that's mostly as far as I can think of.
And even though they're enjoying every moment of tonight,
What would you be doing if you weren't here?
I'd probably be reading a book or playing video games.
By yourself?
Or twiddling with my thumbs.
Yeah. By yourself at home?
Yep.
Do you want olives?
the awful truth is some of these autistic kids could have had a much better life had our medical system not let them down.
I think that's enough tomato. Okay, that's enough.
How clinicians appraise whether a child has autism or not differs considerably, not just between states, but between clinics.
Can you say hello? No.
There is no blood or urine test to detect autism.
Don't hurt me.
So autism specialist Professor Andrew Whitehouse says diagnosis comes down to one thing.
We diagnose based upon behaviours. Now, the way that one person appraises behaviours is likely to be very different to how another person appraises behaviours.
He said, well, I don't believe in this anyway. He said, I'll tell you what he's got. He's got ADHD, let's put him on Ritalin.
With the diagnosis done on behaviour only, many parents of autistic kids say doctors first told them their child had ADHD and not autism.
It was really, really hard.
And parents like Kylie Ouvre-Air lost an opportunity to reverse some of the effects of autism on her son Ben.
What picture are you going to draw? Sketch.
When Ben was eventually diagnosed correctly at age 7, it was too late to change some of his behaviour.
To this day, we find that Ben tends to still struggle with non-verbal communication and some elements of emotional regulation. Take pictures of...
You see, if a child receives early intervention, the brain can remodel itself, identify autism early, and you can make a huge difference.
We certainly have the ability to diagnose children between the ages of 2 and 3, which we would consider early, and then put these children through early intervention, which would have a major effect on their long-term outcomes.
But with no national standards here for doctors to test on, the average age of autism diagnosis in Australia is 6. 4 years later than the rest of the world, says AMA President Michael Gannon.
The international evidence suggests that other countries do better at making the diagnosis earlier.
It was quite overwhelming.
Rebecca was fortunate. Her son Kaiser was diagnosed with autism correctly at 3, and early treatment has had a huge impact on his life now and into the future.
I'm not too worried because it seems that he's progressed since starting school because he's learning so much from school, being around other kids, making friends, that social interaction. I've probably seen the best year ever.
But for every fortunate family who receives early diagnosis, there are many more, like Kate and her family, that don't.
I just have to keep going. There are days where it's really hard to get out of bed and or you go and sit in the shower and you cry.
No clinician picked up autism early in any of her 4 kids with the disorder, and so now her life, and theirs, is a struggle to be swallowed with handfuls of medication.
I would love for them not to be on anything. I have tried psychology, which does work to a degree. I have tried gluten-free, I've tried dairy-free, casein-free, no additives, no preservatives, no sugar. I have tried it all, and this is the only thing that does help somewhat. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a solution that works for me.
And as she told me last time we met, the catch-up therapy she's doing now is having only minimal effect.
I pay for it out of my own pocket.
How's your credit card?
Extremely high.
Tell me what it is.
Somewhere between 23 and 24,000.
A Good Samaritan later contacted us and paid that credit card off. Others can't cope at all. We saw recently the terrible tragedy of what can happen when the stress of an autistic family can become too much.
It's a horrific thing that's happened in this suburb.
A family of 4 gassed in a murder-suicide.
We see way too often families that just feel like they're doing it alone. It's just, they don't know anybody else who's experiencing it, and they're falling apart.
What's your favourite thing that...
So Steve Dracoulis set up the Autism Community Network. His son George was diagnosed at an early age with autism, which was fortunate, but then found there was a long wait list for a specialist and treatment. And guess what?
12 years ago, it was a year, it's still a year. So every day lost is impacting on the potential that child has to develop the neural pathways that they need to function.
Oh, you know how much I love mushrooms?
But on this night, Steve's network has a cooking class to run, thanks in part to the financial help of a local club. There's Warren over there who has come to watch his grandson Reese and others.
They don't have any other social interaction.
And aside from pizza, smiles and life skills are on the menu.
People with autism tend to be shy at first when it comes to making new friends, but as time progresses, they tend to build their relationships stronger and even make new ones.
It's hard enough for a family to cope when a child is diagnosed with autism. It's even harder to cope knowing they could have been helped if only the system was working properly.
This is one area where Australia needs to do better.